Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Meg, and this is Ger Can Get It. This week, Kentucky Fried Teddy Bear porn.
God.
If they gave awards for makeouts on screen or stage, this guy would get a lifetime achievement. He'll find any excuse to get right to sucking face. You honestly wouldn't believe it. Dissecting each and every kiss with tongue. There's only one conclusion to come to. It's that Ger can get it. Ger can get it.
I'm not wrong. I mean, that's
No,
really,
you're not wrong. I'm
not wrong.
What was this? Oh my God.
This was rough in a different way than Ikwe. Like, Ikwe was just sort of like, oh, we were in a different place in our history, and this is just pounding shit into my head. This is what 2005 thought comedy was? I don't know. Okay, so this week.
Oh my God. It's like Jeff Dunham. Do you remember Jeff Dunham?
I try not to. I don't want to.
And then you
Jeff
go,
Dunham.
like, I remember thinking he was really funny. And then he popped up, like, something. He popped up on Netflix. And I was like,
nope.
No, this
he
is
was
not
funny before he went super right-wing offensive crazy. Because I feel like there was a little bit of time before he had the super offensive puppets, and it was just like, I don't know, like mildly offensive, like Ryan Reynolds. I'm going to say something that you're going to be shocked by, offensive, and then he turned into like, doesn't he have like a dead terrorist puppet? I don't know. Anyways, I don't want to talk about Jeff Dunham. He sucks. I don't like him.
Okay,
but it's the same kind of vibe. So
or Crank Call. Remember Crank Calls where it was like the puppets?
Yes.
And there were
a lot of
they
puppets
would
at this
act
time.
out.
It's weird.
Yeah,
like
wow.
actual crank calls. Why were we so into puppets as a culture?
I don't know.
Creepy,
I blame Lamb Chop.
Oh, I remember Lamb Chop.
She's still alive.
I thought she died. The lady who
I don't think so.
Yeah, she died. It's her daughter now who does it. Because I remember everyone being like,
okay. Matt sent me one and was like, look. Anyway, go ahead.
We have a lot of trauma about puppets, it turns out. We're going to deal with it through this episode. You're all going to get to listen to it. So this week, we are discussing a TV show that actually existed called Puppets Who Kill. We're talking about Season 3, Episode 1. It's from 2005, and the title of the episode is Buttons on a Hot Tin Roof, which tells you kind of the vibe we're going for. It's like Tennessee Williams, but with filthy fucking puppets. So
like gross puppets.
Like gross, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Didn't you say, what was the first thing that bringing a hooker to orgasm? Wasn't that one of the first things that?
Like the one guy walks in and he's something about doing math. Like he taught them how to do some kind of math.
It's really hard. Math is really hard.
Yeah, and he's like, teaching us how to do math is like trying to bring a hooker to orgasm. It's just never going to work.
It's okay. This show. So the basic premise. This is fucking. That's like the first 3 seconds of this episode. Like it smacks you.
Well, here you go. Yeah.
So we're gonna get through this for Garrett. Okay. So the premise of the entire show is that there is a halfway house for bad puppets / ventriloquist dummies who have committed like awful crimes, and now they are like rehabbing basically in this halfway house run by a guy named Dan, who seems like well-meaning but kind of helpless. You know, that's kind of the vibe. So I believe there are 4 puppets, one of which is like a weird little creepy baby, and the creepy baby doesn't do much of the episode, so I'm not gonna talk about creepy baby.
Yeah,
but the other 2 puppets, there's like a dog and a horrible ventriloquist dummy. They spend the entire episode. Dan is like, you need to learn how to do math because you guys are bad at math, and they spend the episode learning how to be bookies.
Yeah,
because that's where you go from math. And they end up spending a lot of time getting bets on how Dan will be murdered.
Yeah.
So I guess they learn math, and that's cute. The main puppet that we talk about is a puppet called. It's not cute. It's awful. The show was awful. So the main puppet is a teddy bear, a little teddy bear puppet called Buttons. And he's called Buttons because he has one regular like teddy bear eye that looks like an eye, and one eye that's a button, and so he's Buttons. I don't remember what his crime is, but they're all just fucking awful. I think the ventriloquist dummy like murdered his
like 17 previous handlers or something.
The guy that sticks his hand up his ass. I don't know. The ventriloquist, I guess. The what?
Yeah, puppeteer.
Yeah. So I know he's a murderer. I don't think all the other ones are murderers. They're just bad puppets. So we've got Buttons. He has been, I guess, encouraged by Dan to find a job that's going to help him, be rehabilitated and be part of the community. So he gets a job as a gardener for a this shows so much for a Kentucky Colonel type character. So sort of think about Colonel Sanders if you've never seen a Kentucky Colonel. So it's the white suit, the little black bolo tie. He's an elderly gentleman, so he's got gray hair. He's got an eye patch. Fucking sure. And everybody in this episode has like a really thick, I don't know if it's meant to be like a Kentucky accent, but like, what would you call that accent? Like it's a deep Southern accent.
I would call it a hate crime.
It is rough. It's real big. It is. So if you've ever seen Knives Out, it is the same accent that Daniel Craig does as I don't remember his character, the detective as that character. So it's like this really thick, real big, uncomfortable accent, and everybody's doing it. And I love that, like, it's not like this show is set in the Deep South. No. It's not. When they go to court, the judge is wearing a Canadian judge's robe. Like, it's black with, like, the little white, I don't remember what they call it, the little white, like, tie at the neck, little, like, scarf. And behind her are a Canadian flag and a flag for Ontario. So, like, they're not like in like deepest heart of Louisiana. Like they're in Canada, but they're all cat on a hot tin roof for some fucking reason. Because this episode starts at 11 and then keeps jacking shit up. It is so much. Anyways, so it starts with, so we've got the two puppets who are learning how to be bookies. We've got Buttons, who is being a gardener. And this is very important for later. His normal like running around like default outfit is he's just a teddy bear. He has no clothes. Yeah. He's just like a regular teddy bear. But when he's gardening, he gets a little tiny green gardening apron. And that's going to be important for later because it's real fucking gross. But he wears a little gardening apron. I don't know why, he just does it. So he's working for this Kentucky Colonel who doesn't get a name. He's just the Colonel. So and the Colonel is in a wheelchair, which will also become important. Like he is like every creepy old rich man stereotype rolled into one and then deep fried to make him Southern. So he has a wife whose name is Honey Pot. That's not her nickname.
Honey Pot.
That is her actual fucking name. I was like, oh, is this the nickname? And then like she goes to court and they're like, hello, Honey Pot. And I was like, okay, so we've got the Colonel and Honey Pot.
Who is Urs
from Forever Night. Which, can I just say, the one shining highlight of this episode is that her hair looks really nice.
She's hot. She's
beautiful. She's very beautiful. She still has the weird, like, extra thin eyebrows that we all seemed to think were cool in like the early 2000s, like where it's like extra pencil thin, like sort of a 1920s eyebrow. But unlike her character in Forever Night, who had these weird pin curls that were like shellacked onto her head and never moved and looked very hard, they gave her like a very nice little like ponytail. It's very soft. It's very beautiful. And I was like, I'm happy for you that you got to have nice hair in something. Like that is the one highlight of this episode, is that you, Kristen Lehman, who plays Honey Pot, who played Urs, you get to have nice hair. So I was like, that's at least one thing. And they dress her in like really cute little like I'm going to have tea in the garden dresses. Like
summer dress. Like a summer dress.
Like very nice. Yeah. So although she also has the Kentucky Fried accent, like all the way fucking up. And I was like, okay, Urs, all right, we're here together. We're going to get through this. So,
and it sounds like what a Canadian would think a Southern accent would sound like.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that my people have committed a hate crime, but like it's a little hate. It's a little hate crime adjacent.
Honestly, if you're not from the South, it's fine. They all do fine. They're fine. Like it's fine. It's just
they keep the accent consistent. It's just so big.
Right. It's big, and also there are regional differences to the Southern accent. Like the Southern accent is not one size fits all.
No, they just picked Tennessee Williams' play and they went. Yeah. I don't know where did Tennessee Williams set most of his plays? Do you know? Is that terrible? I don't know. Like New Orleans? Shut up. I feel like New Orleans for some reason. I feel like a New Orleans kind of drawl, even though I've never been to New Orleans. I also am just committing a Southern hate crime right now and making it up. But like that, like a big, where did you get this accent from and why? It's so
just the big. American South.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it says. So it probably just depends on the play.
Just the vague idea of the American South as filtered through the Canadian subconscious, which is to say,
most of the time when people are doing a Southern accent, they do the Louisiana accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what this is? This is just big. I don't know what this is.
It's
too much.
Yeah.
They all do it and they're all equally too much. But again, when we go to court, we're still in Canada. Like I was like, why is no one explaining why there's like 3 like deep fried expats who are living together in Toronto. Like, I don't get it. Anyways, so we've got creepy Colonel in his wheelchair. We've got Honeypot who comes in, and she is coming in and she sucks on a lemon in the most erotic way anyone's ever sucked on a lemon, and is like rolling herself up next to a wall. It is a lot. Anyways, so she comes in. Buttons is super into her because even though he's a teddy bear, he's attracted to human women. And okay, sure, why not? So he and Honeypot have an affair, which I was okay with if we didn't have to see it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would have accepted that as like a thing that was going to happen off stage. But unfortunately, we all get to see their affair. And it is the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I want to make clear, Kristen Lehman is a good actress. She does a good job. She was told to make it with a teddy bear, and she did a believable good job of making it with a teddy bear. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying she's bad at it. I'm saying I didn't want to see that. Nobody needed to see that, and we see so much.
I never needed to see someone suck a teddy bear's dick ever in my life. Sorry.
How is this? You guys can watch it on YouTube. Somebody uploaded the whole thing, including the little opening with like the Comedy Central. Like, remember when they used to have like the little this is presented by Comedy Central like page? Like, you get the whole thing, and it's just I can't recommend this, but also like you got to see it because we're not making up. It's real.
It's like watching a train wreck.
Yeah, but with a dick sucking. It's a dick sucking train.
Yeah, okay, like it's horrifying, but you can't look away, and you don't know why.
It's so fucking much. So we know that Honeypot and Buttons are having an affair. They at first they're just sort of like kissing behind the Colonel's back, and I was like, okay, whatever, sure. Then we end up getting, like you said, a scene where Dan is wheeling the Colonel around to like a different room. The Colonel just asks him to like move into a different room, and they end up almost walking in on Kristen Lehman having lifted the teddy bear's little tiny gardening apron. I don't know why that's the worst part to me. Lifting up the little tiny apron and giving him a blowjob. Like, her head is bobbing up and down on the little teddy bear where his dick would be. And I was like, no, why was this on television? Why?
No.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, I was kind of okay with them like kissing. I was like, okay, if I have to watch it, I'll watch it. But then like the little like the head bob, and it's like you get like 3 or 4 head bobs. Like, you get like sustained it's teddy bear blowjob.
They wanted to make sure you knew it was happening.
I know. I was like, no, sir, no, ma'am, no, thank you.
Thank you.
So Dan immediately like wheels the Colonel away. The Colonel doesn't actually see this, thank God. So like he is spared. We are not. So it's fucking horrible. But they have this affair. And Honeypot, every time Buttons is in the room with the Colonel, Honeypot's like, oh, I have a bush that needs tending to, and like fans herself with her hand. And I was like, okay. All right, Kristen Lehman, like a paycheck, I guess, lady. Good job. So anyways, they're having a very clear affair. So the Colonel is like talking to Buttons, and he's like, Honeypot doesn't love me anymore. She seems very cold and distant. I think she's having an affair. And Buttons is like, what? Like, really? Like, what? So Colonel is like, I think it's Dan. And I'm like, really? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So I think it's Dan. And I'm going to challenge Dan to a duel. And I'm like, sir, you are 900 years old and in a wheelchair. Like, what do you? And one eye. You have one eye. You're in a wheelchair. And you're the oldest mate. Like, you fart dust. Like, what do you? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So he challenges Dan to a duel. And then he like, I guess mentions to Honeypot, like, I think I have found your secret lover and I'm going to challenge him to a duel. And Honeypot's like, I would as soon fuck a dead man as fuck Dan. And I was like, is that a reference to Vachon? Is that like a little Forever Night? Like,
it could be. I don't know.
Like, so you and I had this discussion of like, what would be more uncomfortable is making out with the like matted and sort of gross teddy bear puppet. Like, it doesn't look clean. It looks like it has not been washed in the entire show. Like, it looks dirty as hell, and you had to put your lips on it, and also where his little teddy bear dick would be. So like, what would be grosser? Making out with a really matted, dirty teddy bear doll with a man's hand behind it and like a puppeteer like watching you, or making out with Ben Bass as Vachon with that fucking mullet wig? Like, what?
Yeah.
What was worse? Because like that mullet wig looks like it smelled as bad as the gross teddy bear doll. Like, what?
Yeah, especially when he comes back in ashes to ashes.
It's like the fakest fake wig ever.
Yeah, and it looks like they stored it improperly. They didn't think he was coming back, and they had to take it out and try to brush it, and just like slapped it on top
Just like
of
blow
his
the
head.
dust off of it. Oh my god! Like this, like she's a trooper. I don't know what else Kristen Lehman's been in. I hope she's been in a bunch of stuff.
She was in Midnight Mass.
I heard that, and I heard so I wanted to see Midnight Mass. I have not seen it yet. I'm going to put it on my to be watch list. But I've heard that's very good. So I hope
it was one of those
that,
things. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, a phenomenon, cultural phenomenon. Does she get like normal hair and not to make out with?
Yeah.
Gross?
She's kind of a mom. She looks good. She looks nice. She still looks really nice. Yeah,
good for her.
I was watching it and I was like, God, I know that woman. And then I was like, oh shit, that's hers. And then I was like, oh, I know her from Forever Night. I love it when I come across a Forever Night actor and I'm like, oh, I know you from Forever Night. And people are like, from what? And I'm like, it's fine.
Best thing ever. I feel like it's sort of like seeing your friend that you didn't expect to see, like in a credit.
Like, oh, hello. Like, oh my God. I haven't seen you in forever.
I want to support you. Hey, friend.
Yeah.
Good for hers. I'm going to watch that. I wanted to watch Midnight Mass. I've heard very good things about it. It's got vampires, so why haven't I watched it yet? Okay, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it. We'll discuss it at some point. So, she's like, I would as soon fuck Gros Vachon as fuck Dan. And so the old man is like, I believe you. You seem accurate. So then the Colonel's like, I still think that she's having an affair though. Like I'm convinced now. I'm assuaged that it's not Dan, so I will not murder Dan. But I think she's still having an affair. So the Colonel's like, I'm going to get a PI to spy on her. And he tells this to Buttons because like he treats Buttons like his little confidant. They discuss him later. They mention him as like their son, like their adopted son. They love him so much. And Buttons is like, holy shit, a PI. Buttons then goes and somehow finds the PI and straight up murders him. And the episode just goes right past it. Like we had to spend time on the dick sucking, but then the PI is in his car, talking to the Colonel on the phone. And you just see the like, I hate this so much. This creeps me out so fucking much. You know, when they have puppets run and they make that little like, I hate that noise. I fucking hate that noise so much. And I hate the little like, I don't know how they do it. Like, yes, I don't like it. I don't like it. It creeps me out. It's like, it's like the sound of like beetles crawling on stuff. And they always use that for puppets running. And I visually even, I don't like I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they make it look like the puppet is running, but they're always like still the correct size of the puppet. So they're so close to the ground. And then you hear the like, I was like, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. It creeps me out. But he kills the PI and the episode doesn't care. The episode has like no
they don't care.
I don't even mean like the moral stance on it. I just mean like they brush past it like the ventriloquist dummy, they like focus on like he is a murderer. He has murdered a bunch of people. And this is just, and Buttons I think is just supposed to be sort of a whore. And they just have Buttons like a man whore and they just have Buttons just like be like, oh yeah, he murdered this guy. Next scene. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
The fuck? Okay. So we had to watch him with the blowjob, but we didn't get the murder. Like okay. Sure. So he murders the PI, but I guess before the PI is murdered, he has a photo of Buttons and Honeypot, and he like faxes it very slowly to the Colonel. So the Colonel that now knows that Buttons is the lover. The lover. He's the lover that Teddy Bear is the secret lover.
The side piece.
The side piece. I feel like my brain is not working. There's a word for that. Anyways. God, my brain is just blown out from this horrible episode. So the Colonel knows now. The Colonel knows that what?
You watched a teddy bear get blown. You can't remember anything.
Several fucking times. And I just, because I was like, I got to take notes on this. This is what I do for you here.
I should through it.
I know you're never going to listen to this, but like, I watched this fucking teddy bear porno for you, man. For you.
No one else has watched it the entire time it's been up on YouTube.
No, I am the one view. So, so the Colonel knows, and Buttons is like, holy shit. And so Buttons like runs back to I hate that sound, runs back to the house. And he's like, Dan, you got to hide me. I'm holy shit. So then all of a sudden you get duck, duck, duck. You get a knock on the door and Dan's like, oh, I guess it's the Colonel here to murder you. Good. You fucking deserve it. So he goes to the door and there's a cop and the cop is like, hey, are you Dan? And Dan's like, yes, I am Dan. And he's like, the Colonel's been murdered. We think it was you. Get in the fucking police car. And I was like, what? Like you just at this guy's house, there is a picture of Buttons fucking his wife. Like you didn't. Okay, sure.
Yeah, that's
constabulary, whatever. So they haven't been good since Ger left. That's all I'm going to say. So we end up having a trial, and we finally get to meet Ger. Ger does not get a name. Ger in the credits is just lawyer. That's all I use. He's lawyer. So he is also fucking Kentucky Fried.
Yeah.
They make him so he goes full Foghorn Leghorn and like
he does
go full Foghorn Leghorn. Man, it is too fucking much. He's got the suspenders, and because he's got the like You know how there's like, you could like put suspenders on your jeans if you wanted to, but there's like pants that are designed for suspenders and they always like start at your like nipples. They're like nipple height. They're like super high. So he has like I want to see the bubble butt, and these pants like totally obscure it. The pants go all the way up to his nips, and then he has the suspenders that go all the way up. I feel like, did he have a bow tie? I feel like
he has a bow tie. Oh yeah, no, he absolutely has a bow tie.
And he has these glasses that like I don't understand, which is to say they are like the 1950s style of glasses where it's like rimless on the bottom and there's like a thick rim on the top, like that kind of style.
Yeah.
But for some reason the rim is like too low. Like it sits weird on his head when he's wearing them. Like it just looks wrong and I can't really pinpoint.
Well, first he has them on his forehead, like not pushed up into his hair, not on his eyes, just across his forehead.
It's an Ickway reference. He needs to have something going on top of his head at all times.
Must be. He was missing it.
So when he had the glasses on, even though they looked weird, or when they were on top of his head, I was happy. Because later in the episode, he does the second worst thing I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. The worst thing, obviously, is teddy bear blowjob. But the second worst thing was Ger. So he is the prosecutor in this. There apparently is no defense attorney. I don't understand.
No, it's fine. We went straight. We like picked him up at his house and took him straight to the courtroom.
Straight to trial. Because it doesn't matter. So he is the prosecutor, and so he's taking testimony from everybody, and all the puppets get up there, and each puppet is like, oh yeah, no, Dan definitely did it. Dan had a thing against the colonel had a thing against Dan, probably he was fucking honeypot, definitely Dan, you guys should murder him. And I was like, holy fucking shit, this show goes hard. So all the puppets are like sitting there evil as shit. Although I thought their testimony was actually like, what do you call it? Like it was admissible, and I was sort of surprised. Do you know what I mean? Like you can say, so it's not hearsay. There's a hearsay exception for like when it's what the defendant said, and I don't remember what it's called now because I haven't done that in a while. But like, so like all the things that they said were either things that they themselves had seen, they themselves had thought, or like what the defendant said. And I was like, oh, that's a good job, guys. That's admissible evidence. Like
nice.
So, if you want an evidence class, I mean, don't fucking watch this show, but you know, like a real quick tip. So anyways, so the puppets are all like, yeah, kill him, murder him. And then we get to Honeypot. Honeypot gets up on the stand and Ger is asking her questions like, Dan says that that it was you having the affair with Buttons. It wasn't him. It wasn't him and you. It was you and Buttons. And she's like, I am a classy lady. I would never have an affair with a bear, because she's going full on Southern accent still. And everyone in the audience laughs because she's so clever and witty. Ha ha ha. And then Ger's like, he could have stopped there. He's like, did you have the affair? And she's like, no, you could have moved on.
Yeah.
But the show doesn't like us. The show fucking hates us.
Yeah.
And so what the show does is the show's like, oh, are you sure you didn't have an affair? Because Dan said that he saw you giving a blowjob to the teddy bear. And he doesn't just say giving a blowjob. Before he says blowjob, he pauses. He takes his fucking glasses off. He takes one of the arms of his glasses and he fucking fillets the glasses. And I was like, no. And he does it too deep. He does it way the fuck too deep. He could have just been like a little bit. Do you know what I mean? He could have just been like the tip, like the little bit that goes behind your ear.
He could have just mimed it.
He could have mimed it.
Yeah.
He could have put just the tip in his mouth, but he goes full on deep throat. I was like, how are you not choking?
While maintaining eye contact. The whole like staring deep in her eyes and just like thrusting the bridge, like the, what are they called? The side of the glasses.
The arm, I think, of the glasses. Yeah. So I know it's a characteristic to do sexual things with breaking eye contact, and I appreciate that you did that, sir. But I don't. Why? Why did you have to? Did you do that on your own? Was that in the script? Why? Fucking why? Why did we have to see that? Because he is doing it stone faced. I don't even know how to explain this. He's doing it like cold, dead fish, full on eye contact, not blinking. And I was like, no.
He does do an eyebrow raise. He does his like. You see what I'm saying?
I just why?
The show is terrible.
I feel like 12 to 14-year-old me would have been like, oh, this is so dirty and clever, ha ha. But like 36-year-old me is just like, oh, I gotta get through this. I have to I gotta make my body get through this. It was so awful.
It was somehow worse than Ickway. I don't know.
It was, yeah. Ickway was just sort of depressing, I feel like. Just sort of like, oh, I hate everybody, and this is just, it's like, oh, this is dark. this is fucked up. This is the most fucked up thing I've ever seen. And I feel like I've seen a lot of fucked up shit. This was worse than actual porn. Like, I didn't like it. I did not like it. So anyways, full on eye contact with the glasses. And she's like, nope, I didn't do that. And I was like, how did you get through that scene? Kristen, how did you?
Acting.
Okay.
Actor.
Fuck, you just get an award for just not crying while
this show did win awards.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
For
Gemini
what?
Awards. I don't know.
Not
this episode, hopefully.
I had respect for the Geminis before this because that's a Canadian TV show award, right? I think.
Yeah.
The Geminis are TV, and I think the Junos are movies. It's been a while. Anyways, so this show. Okay, so they do that. Anyways, Dan gets convicted because of course he fucking does.
Yeah.
He goes to a jail cell, and then because this show truncates all the legal shit, they want to spend time watching teddy bear blowjobs, but the legal shit, they're like, fast forward. So he gets convicted, and immediately they're like, we're going to give you the electric chair. And I was like, do we have the death penalty in Canada? I don't think we did. But anyways, Southern fried accent, of course we have the death penalty. So the puppets do not give a shit that he's convicted. They testified against him.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. They go to visit him at his jail cell, and they're like, oh, can we like do anything for you? And then the second Dan is like, actually, could you get me like a cigar? That would be really great. Could you get me something? They're like, oh, there's a burrito stand outside. All right, bye, Dan. Fucking burn in hell. Whatever, man. Bye.
Yeah.
So then somehow it's yada yada, but somehow there's a knife, the knife that was used to kill the colonel, which is the first time we learn how the colonel even died. The knife that was used to kill the colonel is found in Honey Pot's stuff. And so they end up having like a little, I don't know. It's sort of like half a trial for her and half like a habeas trial to undo his trial. It's like two things combined because they don't give a shit. But they have Dan show up in court and Honey Pot show up in court, and they're like, yeah, oopsie, actually it's Honey Pot. And Honey Pot's like, I admit it freely. It was me. I'm the mastermind. I killed him. He was a bastard. I didn't like him. He sucked. But I'm okay with all this because I found the best lover I'm ever going to find in this teddy bear puppet. And he will wait for me for 25 years, even though I have to go to prison. He will wait for me because our love is that good. And the teddy bear puppet literally, this is so gross and misogynistic. He's like, there's not enough Botox in the world to make you still hot after 25 years. Peace out, bye. And then he jumps off the little bench because he's sitting in the pews in the back of the courtroom. And they again make that little creepy fucking puppet run sound. And he runs off the fucking end. The fucking end. And I was like, what the fuck was this? Like, I get that you have to go back to the status quo. You know what I mean? Like, I get that like Dan could not be in prison or like die at the end of this episode, like because he's the one running the halfway house, and they weren't going to like introduce a new character. Like, I get that. How did this show have more seasons than Forever Night? Like, this show had like 4 seasons. I think fewer episodes per season, so fewer total episodes. But it had, I think, 4 or 5 seasons of. Like, if this was a typical episode, like, where do you go from here? You've shown me teddy bear blowjob. Like, what happens next? Are they the IRA? Do they, like, blow up buildings? Like, what? Is there, like, torture porn? Where do you go from this? Because this was the worst thing I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, I guess Ger does an accent in terms of characteristics. He does something sexual while making unbreaking eye contact. That's a characteristic.
I love the mildly nauseous expression on your face. I guess he does this, and it's a characteristic.
It was super gross.
There's a part where he releases his eyebrow.
Part of me is pleased. Anytime that I can be disgusted, I am pleased because part of me feels like I have seen so many terrible things that I can no longer be disgusted. Do you know what I mean? Like when I used to like do like part-time work for local attorneys when I was in Michigan, like I ended up seeing some really horrifying like crime scene photos of like just dead bodies covered in blood and like their eyes are still open. Like I've seen bad things in work, like horrible things like child sexual assault, like just like really awful things. And at some point you sort of feel like nothing can shock me anymore. I am emotionally dead to shocking things. Like like just everything is just whatever. You're just numb to it. So I'm sort of pleased when I see something that is so what the fuck that it actually like has an effect on me where I'm like, the what? And teddy bear blowjob, it turns out, shocked me out of my numbness.
It's a good line.
Teddy bear blowjob?
If you have to have a line, it's a good line. Yeah. Yeah. Watching a stuffed animal get a blowjob is,
just so like part of me is happy to know that I can still feel extreme feelings. So thank you for that.
Thank you, puppets that kill.
I guess. But are there other characteristics that I missed? We've got accent, we've got eye contact. Were there others? Like, he's in this very little. He has like an extended scene. I mean, he's the prosecutor, and so he goes from like I think he does all 4 puppets. So you get the direct examination of the puppets, and then the direct examination of Kristen Lehman's character Honeypot. So like it's a long scene.
Yeah.
But he's not really in it very
He's in the
much.
bloopers at the end. There's bloopers at the end, and he makes
I know. I saw the bloopers.
Face.
I don't want to admit this, but like when he does goofy face, it makes me uncomfortable. And
You're like, now hold it together. I need you to be stoic and handsome.
kind of, yeah. I don't know. But like in the bloopers, were there other characteristics?
No, I think just him being in on a joke, like him being in on the joke, whatever the joke is.
Yeah,
he knows there's a joke. He's in on it.
Yeah.
He does the eyebrow raise when he does the glasses thing. But he doesn't get to make out. He does not get to.
Well, he makes it with his glasses. He gets to have a sexual experience with his own glasses.
Nobody tells him he's good at acting. Nobody tells him he's pretty.
No, but like as like the Kentucky Fried Foghorn Leghorn character, he does get to go big.
Yeah,
which I feel like going big is one of his things. So he gets to be huge. He gets to be sexual. He gets to do an accent.
No bad wig though.
No, yeah, I think that's just his regular hair. Yeah, I mean he looked okay. I mean I didn't like the fucking suspender pants up to his nippy nips, but like otherwise,
yeah, I guess he's layered up.
Yeah, the layers. Yeah, protecting all of us from everything. I don't fuck it. This was rough in a way that was, like you said, different from Ickway and different from Deadly Harvest. It was just, it wasn't rough in like a boring way. It was rough in a, I don't want to watch this. Oh no, what's happening now?
It felt gross and immature. Like it felt like old humor, like poorly aged humor. I think that's why I was like, this isn't funny anymore.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like teen me would have been really into this because that was the humor that we had in 2005. But adult me is like, oh, we were terrible in 2005.
Yeah, it's like all the fart jokes. Like the early 2000s with like Mike Myers and like the Clampets or the
body humor. Oh, the
Clumps, where they had like the just farting. Like there's a whole, like every time they're at the dinner table, they fart. And it's like, okay. Like I remember thinking that was really funny. And now I watch it and I'm like, it's not that funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember you talking on I think it was one of the podcasts probably about Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
And you were really excited to show it to your kids. And then you were watching and you're like,
this is not funny. Because I remember it being really funny. Like I remember quoting it with my friends. And now I watch it and I'm like, oh, this is just like vulgar shock humor. And I'm like, I don't know.
That's what I mean. Is I feel like teen me would have been like as a. Well, did you ever watch Duckman? Do you know talking about Duckman? It is. I want you to watch like 35 seconds of it because if you watch 36 seconds, your nose will start bleeding. But it was a show that was Jason Alexander did the voice of this duck, and the duck was a detective. Is basically the plot of the show. But it was meant for adults, and it was probably around the same time as this, like it was before 2000 because I watched it in Canada when I was a kid. I used to like sneak out to watch the like super late. Yeah. So I would have been maybe like 10 or 11, but it was still to this day, even including Teddy Bear Blowjob, it was the filthiest fucking show I've ever seen. Like in every episode, he takes these the 2 little teddy bears. I don't remember what their names are, but they're like cutesy happy teddy bears, and he ends up putting them like in a blender.
Oh, it's like Happy Tree Friends. Remember Happy Tree Friends?
Yes. From the clips I've seen of Happy Tree Friends, it sounds very similar to that. There's like he's very sexual. He's drunk all the time. He's naked because he's a cartoon character, but he's like aware of his nakedness. Like other cartoon characters wear clothes, and they're like disgusted by him. He has a sister-in-law who like makes like shitty sister-in-law jokes. Like I feel like that was a thing that we were into in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like it hits every gross thing. But when I was like 10 or 11, I was like adult humor, and I was like super fucking into it. And my parents were like, "You can't watch this," and I was like, "Yes, I will," which I think probably contributed to me being like messed up a little bit in the head. Like it was so adult that it like went straight into like kid grossness, which I feel like is sort of the vibe of this. But again, in the like late 90s, early 2000s, this was what like adult humor was, and we all were into it. We all liked it, and we thought it was super cool.
Special weird moment in humor.
Yeah, like body humor and also like mean humor and like just like it wasn't just dumb humor. It was just like all this like it was just terrible. It was just
The perfect
mean and
gross
gross in all the
storm.
ways that you could be
Yeah.
mean and gross. Like not just physical gross, but like emotional gross, like hurt you in the heart gross. Just all the ways that you could be gross, like and mean. I feel like that was just the main vibe of just like how can we be as mean as we possibly can, and it's super fucking hilarious. And if you don't like it, then you suck. You don't
Right.
get it. You're just not cool and you're not with it because you don't get the meanness. I feel like that's where we were. This is slightly removed from that, but like it is still the main vibe of it is mean humor. All the puppets are like telling Dan to go fuck off. They testify against him. They're happy that he's going to be electrocuted in the electric chair. Like they just like every character is just self-interested and like I feel like Teddy Bear Blowjob is the whole vibe of the kind of humor that we thought was funny. Just like gross and self-interested the entire time. So like it's weird to watch it now and be like, oh yeah, that was not an outlier. That was like a thing that we were all into. But like now going back and looking at it, I'm just like, how as a society did we even think any of this was appropriate or cool or funny or
it was just this weird moment and it wasn't very long.
No, thank God. Just a weird time. So I don't even know how to rate this. What did I give Ikwai? Like a 2 or a 3? I mean, he gets his accents and he gets to wear, like you said, 75 layers and he gets to be sexual with unbreaking eye contact. So I guess I should not give it a 0. I'm going to say a 1, a 1 uncomfortable, deep throating your glasses, sloppy wet kiss, glasses kiss, a 1 out of 10. It was uncomfortable in a way that was different from the way that the other stuff was uncomfortable. This was just gross and upsetting, and I don't know how it existed on television. But if anyone wants to watch it, if you go to YouTube and type in Buttons on a Hot Tin Roof and Puppets Who Kill, you will find it. It's uploaded there. You can watch it for free if you feel the need, but I wouldn't feel the need.
I'm going to go 1 raised eyebrows. And he gets a lot of his characteristics, which is what I'm usually going off of. But the only saving grace really is that he's in this episode so little, I'm going to very quickly forget it exists.
I want to forget this exists, but I think Teddy Bear Blowjob is going to haunt me in my dreams.
Like I'm going to remember, like someone's going to go Teddy Bear Blowjob and I'm go, oh my God, I remember that show?
Who's going to say that to you besides me? Who's going to ever? Unless there's like a cool, I feel like it'll be me or like a new wave like metal band that's like, we're Teddy Bear Blowjob.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like those are the only times.
A band name, yes, Teddy Bear Blowjob. Yeah, and really the one raised eyebrow is the fact that he's having a great time playing this joke.
Oh, and absolutely. He seems like he's having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's a joke. And he's making the I'm in on the joke face the whole time. Yeah.
I think if he had approached this seriously, I would have cried. I would have just been like I would have been even more deeply uncomfortable, and I already want to crawl into a hole and bury myself for having watched this. Like, I feel like government officials should come to my door and be like, you watched something so terrible that like you are now on some kind of special.
That's why they put it on YouTube.
Come with us.
It's to catch those people. Yeah.
To track us. Yeah. To catch us. Yeah. You're right. He seems like he's having fun. I hope that it paid for a new roof on his French chateau or like at least some new tiling.
Yeah.
I just, I didn't like it, Ger. I'm sorry, man. You did a good job. You always act very well. You continue to be handsome. I just don't ever want to see you fillet a pair of glasses ever again. And I hope I never have to. I hope that doesn't come up. I hope that never comes up in your career ever again.
Well, we'll find out.
No more fake blowjobs. Yeah, we'll find out. I don't know. I haven't seen everything he's been in. If there's more fake blowjobs on like household objects, I don't know. This was a lot. We did this for the podcast, but I'm gonna need some Tums. I don't feel good. This was a lot. So, on that note, friends, I don't recommend watching this. And again, definitely don't tell him that we exist or that we watched this. Don't tell him that anybody ever watched this. Let's all just forget. Okay? Can we just as a group forget?
Let's Mandela effect this out of the zeitgeist. Yeah.
I tell you, it's the Little Apron. I'm never going to be able to look at a Little Apron ever again.
Don't stop. Good.
Anyways, on that note, bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye.